Good evening and welcome to another episode of Scottish Racing Podcast. We've been away a few weeks. We were going to do a podcast last week, but unfortunately, certain things happened, so we didn't get around to it. Joining me again, except this time straight from our sick bed, Rachel Ward. Rachel, how are we doing, pal?
I'm okay, Don. A wee bit of a chesty cough, but we still move forward, and there's some good racing tomorrow at Kelso, and hopefully we can bang out a few winners for the people that's watching this.
Certainly hope so. I've had a wee look at the weather, and I mean, it looks absolutely cracking. I'll be surprised if they're not doing a wee bit of watering tonight, to be honest with you. But you're closer to the action. Is it as good down there as it looks on the weather forecast?
I know from last week, Don, that they were irrigating quite a wee bit during last week. But it was quite a shock to wake up to on Monday morning when it was raining. I think we got 4 millimetres of rain Sunday night through to Monday, but it hasn't been too bad. We had a dry day today, and it's dry all day tomorrow. And they stopped irrigating yesterday due to the rain that we had. So even though I was probably thinking it may run good to soft in places, I think with the drying day that we've had today, and obviously the drier day tomorrow with the warmer temperatures of 19 degrees that we're forecasted tomorrow, I think it's going to be good all round. It'll not be like flat good ground. It'll be safe for national hunt horses. And like I say, Matthew, the clerk of the course, does a fantastic job, and he always makes sure that the race course has got good ground. So I don't think there'll be any excuses for any of the runners tomorrow.
No, it genuinely looks like proper good round. So looking forward to it. It means that there's probably going to be a few that will, certainly I've put a line through, coming into that proper spring horse bracket that they might just not be coming at the end of the season, and Kelso's second last. So big fields, but probably an opportunity to put a line through a few of them. But 8 races, a lot of horses going to Kelso tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's actually a really good field on that we've got tomorrow for all the runners. And all the races, and some horses coming over from Ireland, horses coming down from England, horses actually coming back from some big breaks. So no, it's a really good race day tomorrow at Kelso, and if anyone's looking to go, I think they should definitely make the visit worthwhile. It's really good.
Yeah, without further ado, we've got 8 races. Let's just get bashed on. So we go on to the first tomorrow, the 140. 2 mile, 6.5 class 4 hurdle. And just as we said there, Rachel, with first race, we've got 15 of the max 16 in this race. A lot to pick from. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the Mark Walford trained Magic Wave. Don now. He is very lightly raced for an 8-year-old. Obviously, due to the lack of times we've seen him, he may have had some issues. But he hasn't been out of the first 3 on all of his completed starts. Now, I do know that he pulled up on his run 95 days ago. That was at Wetherby, but he did actually lose ground quite quickly around the home turn. He was pulled up respectively by Jamie Hamilton when he knew his chance was gone. He has won first time out on the past 2 seasons, so the break of 95 days isn't a worry for me. I just think 8-1 in a race that will pay 3 places. And there isn't, I mean, looking at his form, Don, he has run on good to soft ground before, and he has won on good to soft ground. Obviously, like we've discussed a few moments ago, with the drying day, the ground might be good, but I just think the fact that he's lightly raced, he hasn't got that many miles on the clock, and it is obviously just sharp of 3 miles. But I think he's value at 8-1. Another one that's quite slightly higher up in the bookies is Idem. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think there's variations of ways that you could pronounce it, but Patrick Wadd takes the reins on him now. He's actually claiming £3 after, well, he was crown champion conditional a few weeks ago at Sandown. Now, he actually won round here at the September meeting last year. He's got no ground worries now. He did fall on his first start back after his break, but he wasn't beaten very far at Ayr when he was behind Chosen Witness, who, in my eyes, was sort of laid out for the race. Obviously, he had good form back in Ireland.
Yeah.
He did run at Punchestown last week, and he was down the field. But I just think returning back to a trip of 2 miles, 6.5 furlongs, 2 of his 5 hurdle wins have came back. That was obviously a furlong shorter, but he's returning back to Camber Waters. He's performed this track well, and hopefully being back at Kelso might rejuvenate him.
Yeah.
So both Magic Wave and Adem, but probably more Adem in this race, Don, just based on the fact that he's a course winner around here.
Yeah.
But Magic Wave, I wouldn't put anyone off having a wee nibble on him at each way. Like I say, there's probably horses further down the field that you could give a shout to, but those two at the top of the market are ones that I'm quite sweet on.
It's interesting you mentioned the two of them. I shortlisted 3 in this big field. A lot of them with chances. And I think if you look back at the market raising race, Magic Wave, he recorded a really decent RPR that day. And then I looked at Adem, and like you said, course winner, will appreciate the ground. And the third one that I'm actually going to select is Billy Boy Blue. Wee bit unoriginal. And still, I think you're getting 92 with 1 or 2 bookies, but generally 3-1 in a big field isn't ideal. But I think the ground has came up perfect for him. And I think he's got a very good chance tomorrow in what's going to be his handicap debut. So, yeah, I don't disagree with the 2 that you've put in there. But of the 3 that I shortlisted, we've actually mentioned all 3 of them. I'm just going to side with Billy Boy Blue here.
Yeah. Yeah, quite interested that Jonathan Burke's coming up. I know he's got rides later on in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But obviously, Jonathan Burke and the trainer's done really well with horses over the past couple of weeks, so I wouldn't put anyone off backing him. And like you say, it's his handicap debut. He might be well treated off the mark that he's been given.
Yeah, a few Southern Raiders coming up tomorrow, so looking forward to see how they go. So we move on to second, the 10 past 2, 2 miles, 5 furlongs, class 4 hurdle. We've got the max in here, 14, and a wee shorty to start us off here. Rachel, what do you think about Pinot Rouge?
Yeah, Don, I actually quite like Pinot Rouge, and I don't disagree with the way the market's spoken. I think the price is pretty accurate based on what she has achieved. Basically, when I was looking back through her form, obviously the last time we've seen her, she finished 4th, dead heated with Shanna Bob in the Grade 1 at Aintree. Dancing City won that day. He came out, won last week at Punchestown, and surprisingly, he actually impressed Willie Mullins by how well he'd taken his season, because he'd been on the go for it since the Dublin Racing Festival. So that just shows how much of a hardy horse he is. She wasn't discredited on that occasion. The horse that actually finished behind her on her previous start, Ottizini, she's actually got some good form to her name. Latterly, aired behind Check Her Out for Lucinda Russell, Say La Vie, one of Mullins, and Coco Madam as well for Dan Skelton. And I think they're quite good yardsticks for those 3 trainers. The only worry that I do have, and it is a wee bit of a slight worry, Don, is she is unknown on good ground. She's always run on softer, heavy ground. But basically, she's the best horse in the race. She brings the best form in. None of the others have achieved or even finished in the frame in a Grade 1. Even though she has achieved being 4th in a Grade 1, it is by a little margin. But I would still take her over the rest of the field. Now, the unexposed sort in that race, Don, and he's actually behind her in the market, is Sea God. Now, he's unbeaten in a point-to-point in a novice hurdle, but that was in a 2-horse race. Obviously, we can't go through the form of that because it was a 2-horse race. You don't know if it was a fluke or anything like that, but we actually don't know how good this horse could be.
Yeah.
Around a top stable with Lucinda Russell, and he's got no ground concerns having one on good and good to soft going. He's the unexposed sort, and I think 4-1's a decent price. I think he's got a lot of potential. I do think I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but obviously he was trained by John McConnell and he's now with Lucinda. Like, is there a reason for that, or am I reading too much into that? But I just think those 2 horses, the market's got this spot on, I think, by having Pinot Rouge, top of the market, obviously finishing in a Grade 1, and Sea God, we don't know how good this horse could be. It could be anything. Obviously, there's not a lot of depth in this race, I feel. Like, obviously, Pinot Rouge is the worthy favourite, and she should be. But apart from Pinot Rouge and the unexposed sort of Sea God, is there something else lurking in this race? Obviously, it's a novice's hurdle. It's not like a handicap or anything that could be better than its mark that it's got. But I just think those two, Don, are head and shoulders above the rest of the field. And I'd be very surprised if something in that field came out and won. If it wasn't the top two in the market, I'd be like, what is going on? Because the bookies have got this right. They've got the favourite where it should be, and they've got the second favourite where it should be based on what he's achieved.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I think for me, and you're right, Pinot Rouge carries solid credentials. I'm just not prepared to take a punt at odds on those runs. I've either said soft or heavy in the going. So
Yeah.
if you add on top of that, there's a few in here with a chance. I think Split the Bill's about 10-1. I would say that's the daftest bet of the day. And Magical Hills is another one. But the one I am going for slightly tentatively, for all the reasons that you just said there, is Sea God. Now, he won a good ground point last year. He won it comfortably. Done the same in I think it was actually a bumper at Carlisle back in December.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's just a genuine good ground horse, and Lucinda's been waiting for the ground in a race where there's a few that have got questions further down the card. I'm going to take a wee pop at Sea God. Now, this could just be one of the horses that gets trotted out tomorrow and she sends it summer jumping at Perth. I'm not too sure, right? But at 4-1, 72, I'll have a little sniff at that just to see. But I'll be watching intently, because if it is just a wee trot out and it is a good ground toss to see, maybe something that it lands in Perth this maybe in the next few weeks. So
yeah.
I think you're right. Pinot Rouge probably has the best chance, but I'm not taking 8-11, 4-5 on good ground. I'm more than happy to throw a couple of small shekels at Sea God and see what happens.
Yeah, I think obviously, like we've mentioned there, Don, it's sort of a race between the top 2-3 in the market. But yeah, like I said before, the only concern would be the good ground for Pinot Rouge. But as I say, good horse go on all different types of grounds. Obviously, we don't know if she's a good horse. The form would suggest that she's up there, but she was well beaten by Dancing City. But even to finish 4th in a Grade 1 takes some doing. And they went quite hard that day, I quite felt like. So yeah, interesting nonetheless. But Sea God could be anything based on what he's achieved. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing the race and see how it runs. But it should be a half decent fair anyway. We'll see what happens. So we move on to the third race, 240. Now we've got a Class 4 handicap chase here, just short of 3 miles. We've got the 8 runners in it as it stands just now. One of your favourites is in. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, no surprise to anyone who's watching and who's watched previous podcasts, but I'm a massive fan of Captain Quint. I love this horse. Huge fan. Obviously, he was last seen with his recent effort at Newbury 47 days ago, and he jumped off well, but he made a few jumping errors on the back straight, and he was completely tailed off coming on the final bend. Now, as I've said to Don prior to coming on the podcast, racing down in the south, especially at Newbury and all those big high-end race courses, they do tend to go that stride quicker. And I do feel like that put his jumping to the test on that occasion. But I think back in calmer waters now, like he's carrying 12 stone 1. He deserves to be that way, in my opinion. He's the best horse in the field, without a doubt. That might just be me being biased, but yeah, he's versatile ground wise. I actually do think that he's better on good to soft ground. But what's quite interesting, Don, is they've taken the cheek pieces off him. Obviously,
Right.
he wore cheek pieces when he won at Musselburgh, and I mean, I was screaming the house down that day. But she's actually taken the cheek pieces off. Rose has, which is quite interesting, because when he ran at Musselburgh and he wore them, he was so up with the pace and he travelled so effortlessly. Now, what I'm thinking is they've removed the cheek pieces because he's racing at Kelso. Like, going from Newbury to Kelso, I'm like, well, that might be a part to play in why she's taking the cheek pieces off. But I don't know if anyone, well, people may be aware, but Rose is actually finishing this year. She's not renewing her licence. She's had a tough year, and I would just love to see this horse win for her mum and dad, and have a final winner at Kelso, a track that she's done so well at over the past few years. in my opinion, she's a very underestimated trainer, and she probably doesn't or hasn't had the credit that she deserves. With all her big wins. So Captain Quint for me, Don, he was 8-1 well, when the betting opened up, and he's now 13-2. So there has been a wee bit of nibble for him on the betting. But the horse that I do particularly like in this, Don, is the favourite Race View Road at 2-1. Now I actually tipped this horse up at the last Kelso meeting that we did selections for. And I actually really liked him that day. Now he is stepping up a wee bit slightly in distance, but like he's so consistent. He actually has won quite a few of his points on soft, heavy ground. But I just think the way he travels with so much fluency, and like he's 10 stone 12. He's only a 6-year-old. Like he's got so much further improvement with him, and we've seen this a lot with George Bewley, where he's had horses that have came from a different stable and he's improved them massively. I just think based on his run last time, I know that he was so close to being coloured on the line, and I was sitting at my work going, "Come on, where's the line? Where's the line?" But I just think he's got so much more potential to give Don, and I think 2-1 in a race that even though there's 8 runners, you'll still get paid for your first 3. He's got probably the best chance of the lot in that field, Don. I can't oppose him. So my head's going to go with Race View Road, but my heart's with Captain Quint. I can't really separate them, to be honest. But this will be Captain Quint's final run with Rose before Paul Robson takes over the training next season. So Captain Quint, I love him. He's my favourite. And I could go on and on about him. Obviously, I won't take up much more of Don's time. But Captain Quint for the heart and Race View Road for the head. Like I say, Race View Road. Yeah, raised £3 from his win here in April. But I'm not worried about the higher mark. I think it's well within his reach. So yeah, they're the 2 that I like, Don.
Thanks very much, Rachel. Do you know what? No, I wasn't surprised when you said Captain Quint. And see, when you look at the Bewley horse, Race View Road, I don't think you're even getting 2s anymore. It's already getting backed and it's coming in. So there's definitely a few out there who share that opinion with you. For me personally, I've got some question marks about almost all of these. The one that I have the least question marks, certainly in my mind anyway, is No Regrets. He's been given a wee break at 80 days by Nicky Richards, and he's reached for the first time visor. I think he's 10 now, but I think he might be worth a go tomorrow. What I will say is, even if the 8 runners do run, I don't even know if I'd place him each way. It wouldn't surprise me to see a Castletown or Dom and Louis throwing something into the pot here and placing tomorrow. So I maybe just play myself a wee point win at 13-2 on No Regrets. But like I said, the market will be quite strong on Race View Road. So, but interesting to see what happens throughout the night and into tomorrow. We've actually, just before we move on to the 4th race, we've had a couple of comments from Alex Jeffrey. Evening, Alex. Starlight is a cliff horse of mine, very low weight, but not so talented either. I think we all go through a little period where our cliff horses, we basically feel that they are indeed that, talentless cliff horses. Starlight runs in the first for anyone that's interested. Do you know what? For you, Alex, I hope it wins. I'd just be interested to see what happens in the first race. Me and Rachel have already spoke about 3. It's probably about 15. So for you, Alex, good luck, mate. All the best. So moving swiftly on, we've got 310. 310 is a handicap hurdle, class 5, 2 mile and 5 furlongs. Max field again, 16 runners. A lot to have a pocket here, Rachel. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now this field, there's only basically, I feel like in my point of view, there's only one standout horse, and that would be the favourite, Call Me Jack. But I think in a race of this calibre, Don, where it's so open, I'm actually going to go for a horse down the field, and that is Sword of Fate. Now, a few people that might this, he is a veteran, he's 11 years old, so many miles on the clock, but what really drew me into him was, like, most of his runs have been over the fences, and he ran at Perth 2 weeks ago, and he finished last, but 94 was his last winning mark over hurdles, and he runs here tomorrow off a mark of £88. which is interesting. While there isn't much depth in the race apart from the favourite, he's run well here before in the past, and Brian Hughes is still on board and keeps the ride. Now, what kind of struck me, Don, is Brian rode him at Perth 2 weeks ago. Sorry, guys. And I'm just thinking, maybe Brian suggested going back hurdling, because we've seen it on multiple occasions where he'll start off the season or start off after a break going chasing, and then they'll throw a hurdle race into him. And occasionally, based on his form that I had a look at, he does go particularly well. So maybe Brian suggested maybe going back to hurdles with him, give him, like, we see some horses in the past on where like their form's dipping a wee bit and they'll go hunting on the occasion. They'll do a wee bit cross country. We've seen Gordon Elliott do it. Obviously when you see his videos on social media. So maybe just something like that, just to kind of rejuvenate him. I just think like 14-1, where like in other races that he's run it, he's been like 40-1, 66-1. So I just think about 14-1, I think, Don's purely based on the fact that it's such an open field.
Yeah.
And there's that race that particularly haven't reached the form that sort of Fate has in previous seasons. But I just think the fact that like when he last won over hurdles, he was 94 rated and now he's 88. Like the weights are dropping for him.
Yeah.
So like, and there's other horses in this race that Brian Hughes could have been on. So like, I'm sticking with him. I just think 14-1 in a race that's so open. I mean, it's a handicap done, and there's 16 runners. Does that mean that you're paying the first 4?
Yeah, some bookies these days and that amount of runners, you'll even get 5 places.
Yeah, like I've not really. Well, I use Sky Bet, and I've not actually checked my Sky Bet for racing tomorrow at Kelso, but
they'll be doing 5, guaranteed.
They could pay like 5 places. So
yeah,
1 for 5 places, and we know that like looking at his run, like he's past 3 runs, he's been 3rd, 4th, 5th. Like he could easily squeak into an each way place at 14-1. Like I'll have a bit of that. Like I'm not putting anyone off having a wee like each way on him.
Yeah.
I think you could run a decent race because, well, Derek Fox usually rides them, but the fact that Brian Hughes is on him, and obviously he rode him 2 weeks ago at Perth, he's maybe said, do something different, take him hurdling. He's ran well here before. I wouldn't put anyone off him.
Did Hughes, get 2 winners at Hereford tonight?
Perth?
Hereford.
Oh, I'm not too sure.
I'll need to go and check. I thought he ran 2 winners tonight. One on the last and one on the third last.
One winner.
I genuinely just had that Kalini Moore at 7:30, and then I think he won the last on a Jet of Dreams, because I had Jet of Dreams. I had a little bit. Yeah, won the last. He's at least 2 winners he's had tonight anyway. So yeah, as usual with Hughesy, he's in the winners again. So you're right to be leaning into that. What I'll say here is, I mean, ordinary fare. I mean, I have a selection, and I've got a few reasons as to why, but no offence to Connections, but this is not a great race. And it might not even be a betting one for me, but I don't think I'll be rushing in at 13.874 on Call Me Jack when you're getting 4 or 5 places. Now, I just had a look. Most bookies are giving you 5 places tomorrow, so that's great. So just to agree with Rachel, there's 12s in here, there's big prices. Have a little poke. I myself, for a few different reasons, will have a little poke at Dirt Gently. Now, I think the ground was one of the reasons. He's still relatively unexposed. He's not had a lot of runs. And Johnny Bucks had a few winners in the last couple of weeks. So that was my thinking behind it. I won't be going in any form of confidence in this sort of race. I think this is wide open. The market tells you that. And I think it's a bit ordinary as well. But you know what? Good luck to you. And I agree, Rachel. Pick a price if you fancy it. And whatever angle you've got, stick with it.
Yeah. Great minds think alike, Don.
Yeah, they do indeed, pal. We're moving on to the 3:45, a 2 mile. I think this is a mare's handicap hurdle. It is indeed 2 mile mare's handicap hurdle. Class 2 here, Rachel, and we've got 12 runners. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, first of all, Don, I just want to say, obviously, it's obviously the Herring Queen Series final mare's handicap hurdle. So,
It is indeed.
for Kelso that they've managed to reschedule this race. This was obviously meant to run back in April, but Kelso unfortunately was abandoned on that occasion. So it's fantastic that the BHA have managed to reschedule this race and give these mares a chance for a win. Now, I'm actually really sweet on Lily de Burley, Don. Now, I think the first time me and you done a podcast was it Musselburgh Cheltenham Trials weekend.
Might have been, yeah.
Actually due to run, and I had tipped her up, and she was a non-runner. So she started the season being second at Catterick, and she was actually well beaten, but she turned that around with a facile win at Ayr on Scottish National Weekend.
Yeah.
Now, a slightly race for an 8-year-old mare, but she won stylishly on that occasion. Like I've said before on previous podcasts when she's been running, that she's got some really good form to her name, particularly in the early parts of her career, especially in bumpers and all those good mares in Ireland. She's got really good form. I do think she can easily follow up with another win here. Now, the only thing is, Don, the horse who was behind her at Ayr, she's actually got a £7 swing on this occasion, which might be Dan Skelton's mare, Shaky Tail Feather, I should say. But I just think Lily de Burley is the class horse in this field, I think. And JJ Slevin's only ride of the day. I'm actually quite surprised that he took Lily de Burley over Brucio. I think Brucio is more unexposed than Lily de Burley, even though Lily de Burley is more lightly raced.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brucio's top weight, Ben Bromley can claim £5. It makes sense. But the other horse is Fergal O'Brien's. Is it Politicus?
I think so.
Now he arrives here looking for a hat trick of wins. Now she was actually behind Golden Ace back in February, and she has boosted the form significantly, winning the Mares Novices race at Cheltenham and then following up at the April meeting a few weeks ago. Now the horse who was actually third behind her on her latest start when she won at Hereford, that horse was Spring Gale. Now that actually came out and won the Friday before Sandown at Chepstow with Harry Cobden, and it actually gave Harry Cobden his seal in his championship. So that form's been boosted. Whether or not it will continue to be boosted, but I just thought that was quite eye-catching, Don. And like obviously JJ Slevin, it's his only ride. It's actually Fergal O'Brien's only runner of the day. He could have had runners at other meetings. Obviously, we've got like Fontwell being on, etc. So runners there. It's quite to come all the way up from Cheltenham to Kelso for one runner. Obviously, she has qualified for the race. She deserves to be there. But I just think 7-1 was quite high in my opinion, based on what she's achieved. And with obviously she's up a couple of pounds for like obviously her 2 wins, but I just think she's got a chance, and every mare in this race has got a chance. Obviously they've qualified to be in the final. They all deserve a chance, but no, I'm sticking with the favourite, Don, Lily de Burley. I just think she's probably the best horse in the race based on her previous form at the start of the season behind all those good mares. But Politicus 7-1, I do like her credentials too. I can't really split them.
The 2 Swede and Munir horses are quite clearly the 2 best horses in this race.
Yeah.
So they carry the 2 highest weights. I mean, it's nice and simple. But for me, one of them stuck out. And I actually had a little bit earlier on at 16-1. It's still about 16-1, but I'm watching the odds check them out, and it's at 14s and 12s in places. So I'm obviously not the only one. It can't be my fiver each way. But it's Linda Moon. And you mentioned some form behind Golden Ace. She's already finished ahead of Brenda's Asking, who's in here. And if you're a weights and measures sort of person, Brenda's Asking shouldn't be 7 if Linda's 16. So I don't get that price. And Politicus was down the field behind Linda Moon that day. Now, Politicus has come out since one twice, right? I get it. But for Linda Moon, who's placed behind Golden Ace on good ground to be 16s, and Politicus and Brenda's Asking to be 7s each, and then you've got Brucio at 9s and 4s for Lily de Burley. There's a couple of bookies giving 4 places. I took 4 places earlier on at 16-1. If it's 16-1 again, tomorrow, closer to the off, I might even go on again if I'm getting the 4 places, because I thought that was a decent bet, to be honest with you. So, yeah, Linda Moon for me, but just to echo your words, it's a mare's handicap hurdle. I mean,
yeah,
one of the most wide open races we're probably going to have in the card there.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, like, just look at that. Don Linda, obviously she finished behind Sunday Soldier, and he came out and won a final in Musselburgh. Obviously she underperformed the time after that, but we both put Sunday Soldier up, so I can see your angle with Linda Moon. And like I say, we'll see what the outcome is come 3:55 tomorrow afternoon. But I think it's great that they've managed to reschedule this race and get it on. And I just think they've put some good prize money on offer. It is actually a really good race. I think it'll be run at quite a strong pace. I mean, you've got quite high profile jockeys in here. So it's not going to be a walk in the park, really. It's going to be a well run race. And may the best mare win, or filly.
Nah, you're quite right. And I completely missed the fact that it was a rearranged race for Musselburgh. So thanks for bringing that up. I'd never even seen that at all. So thank you for that. Right, we're moving on. 16:20, proper race. This 2 mile one, Betmax handicap chase, class 3. We've got 10 runners in here. This is more like it, isn't it, Rachel?
Oh, I love it, Don. I love
it.
Fair enough, it's not going to be run at the same pace as like John Bonn at Sandown. Well, it's not going to be that fast a run race, but there's nothing more satisfying if you're a racing fan and you see 2 milers just run and jump on good ground.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, Kelso Racecourse, they do fantastic with the covering the ground, and obviously Matthew will like make sure that it's fresher ground than what they've raced on all season. Obviously, this is the penultimate fixture before Ladies' Day at the end of May, which I'm sure we'll be previewing. So I just think this is a fascinating race, but for the life of me, I cannot understand, Don, why Bollinger and Krug is 11-1. Now that is an insult. Now, like, I've been at Kelso when this horse has won every race. He's won at Kelso.
Wow.
Now, for him to be 11-1, and you've got these horses at the top of the market, I just think the bookies have got this all wrong. I mean, like Bollinger and Krug, he loves the track at Kelso. He's won 6 out of his 12 starts around here. He's had a bit of a break. I mean, like, after his latest win at Kelso, he was running against, like, the ill-fated Elixir de Nuts when he won at Newbury, and he's running these good 2 mile handicap chases, but he's actually £1 below his last win in Mark, which was around Kelso, and that bodes well. Like, I couldn't see an angle for any of the other horses, Don. I mean, maybe I just wasn't looking that much, or I'm just a big fan of this horse, but I just think if Derek Fox gets him in a rhythm, obviously he's had a break of 46 days, and he gets him jumping, there's no horse that will come home stronger than this horse up Kelso straight. There's no horse. I'm all over Bollinger and Krug at 11-1. I think he should be favourite. I mean,
I give a shout. I think there's a lot of them in here. Sorry, I lost you there, Rich.
No, I just think, like you say, there's a few here. Give everyone a shout, but just for me, like, I just can't understand why he's 11-1.
I think it's purely based on the last few run-ins. I think that's all it is. Second last, and fifth or something like that. I had a look at him as well, and I think that's why. If you fancy it, like you do, I wouldn't talk you out of a bet. I really wouldn't. I think Paris Encore is one way I shout. Pay the Piper's a horse I love. I really, I can't remember the race that I fancied at Aintree a few years ago, and I don't even think he ended up taking it up. But Pay the Piper's a horse I really like. For me, I'm going to take a chance that the Skelton gelding, Frere Darmez, we'll hope that's right. That mark is dropping little by little, and he's now just last one in Mark. I think I'm going to side with him. I think, as much as I love the horse Pay the Piper, I think the chances don't reflect in that price. and I would say the same for Coast Guard Station. I think we need to see a little resurgence from Gold de Bois, but I wouldn't talk anybody for anything in here. I think there's definitely a few who have got a sniff, but for me, this is a tentative one, especially at 4-1 when I'm saying it's so wide open. I'm going to land with Frere or Darmay, but yeah, I get your point. I think there's still, again, 11's about, but you're not the only one, Rich, because I think it's coming in.
Yeah, no,
I
do like him. I'm just looking at your Frere Dams there, Don. He's actually a pound higher than his last win in Mark. So, like you say, his market is winnable. And that was actually on 2 miles good ground at Newbury. So he has got conditions in favour. It's whether, I mean, he has had quite a hard season, but like you say, Harry and Dan Skelton aren't coming up here for they're not going to waste of petrol money on the travel, are they? So yeah, but no, I'm sticking with my Bollinger and Krug. Yeah, I like him. I'm going to stick with him.
Spot on, Rich. Love it. Absolutely love it. 2 more races to go, and I'm going to just be polite about this now. I don't really have interest in any one of them because one's a bumper and one is my hell, and that is Hunter. Anyway, Rich, right? It's just unfortunate that I'm going to leave you out here in the wilderness yourself here because I genuinely don't have an opinion on either one of these races, right? However, we'll go through the motions anyway, right? So we're in the penultimate race of the penultimate Kelso meeting. It's the 4:55 Racing Post Go North Series final. National Hunt, 10 runners in here. Anything you've got a particular fancy on, Rich?
Well, I'll tell you something, Don. I'm going to have a Sarah Baxter carrying you through these bumpers on these podcasts. Honestly,
I don't like them.
But I didn't mind. I don't mind. So, no surprise, I'm sticking with the favourite, Don Kingston James. I think, like I've touched on before in the is it the second race, that Sea God? I think this horse could be anything. Yep. I honestly do, Don. I mean, like, he's unbeaten in 2 starts. He fell in his point-to-point debut, but he could have been unbeaten in 3. Versatile grounds-wise, looks to have the world at his feet. I know Old Gold, I've seen it on social media, they think very highly of this horse. I haven't actually seen him in the flesh, but based on photos that I've seen, he looks a chaser in the making. He looks a 3-mile chaser in the making, and he's got plenty of experience compared to some of them. Obviously, Dedicated Hero and Disco Davis has got some experience and Flaubert. But no, like, he drew away from the field and he won that hunt race at Ayr easy. And I mean, like, Patrick Wadge didn't even, like, it wasn't even hands and heels. He just drew away through the field. And he brings the most potential, Don, to be honest. Obviously, he won that on good ground. He won his point-to-point on good to soft ground. He could be, like you mentioned with Sea God, he could just be a good ground horse. But I like him. I think 2-1's a decent price.
I remember watching that race at Ayr last month. No. March, whenever it was. And it was readily enough. It was ready enough for him to be back. The price is shortening as we are speaking. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was relatively ordinary fare, or at least it looks like it anyway. Again, there's a Skelton runner in Disco Davis. I think it's got a shout, but this is not really my sort of fare. I'd love to see the Coulterds get a nice wee win on the one to watch. I like Stuart and Sam. I know them relatively well. I once had a horse with Stuart, so I would love to see the one to watch going well. But for me, I wouldn't talk you out that. I think if you've seen how well he won that day, then fair does fill your boots.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not just that. It's just bumpers and me. We don't settle well.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that one there, Don, for Stuart Coulthard, I mean, like, he had his debut at Ayr in November on good to soft ground, and he finished 6th, but he was only beaten 4 1/4 lengths.
Yeah.
But then he was down the field on soft ground at Kelso. So you could argue that he could perform better on better ground.
So, he gave him a wee rest as well. He's been off a few months, so you never know.
So I mean, like, I think if like the favourite was like an odds-on shout, you'd think, oh, forget the rest of the field. But I think 2-1 is a fairly decent price. And there's horses in here that could represent a wee bit of value if you were looking for that. I mean, even though it's a 10-runner field, you're only getting the first three with most bookmakers. I mean, I've just checked Sky Bet, they're doing 3 places, but it's an open field. I mean, like, there was a race of this nature last year when I was at the meeting, this exact meeting last year, St Cuthbert's Cave one, and he was 25-1, and the favourite bombed out. So, like, you just don't know, and it'll all depend on how the actual ground, how the horses are racing on it tomorrow. But I just think Kingston James is head and heels above the rest of these runners. But if you're looking for that each wee bit of value, there's horses in here that represent that.
Spot on, Rach. Thank you very much. We finished the day with the smallest field of them all. An open Hunter's Chase at 5:25, just short of 3 miles. Class 4 open Hunter's Chase. Very, very short favourite at the top of the market here on Go On Chaise. What's your thoughts on open Hunter's Chases, Rich?
I actually don't mind them, Don. I think it's quite a good initiative. Obviously, we've seen the Hunter Chases over the spring festivals at Cheltenham and Aintree and Punchestown and like racecourses in Ireland and racecourses in Britain. And I think it's a good initiative, and it gives horses that have performed at such a good level higher than what they're running in now, gives them a chance to sort of get their confidence back if they've lost it a wee bit, going like from like class 4 or class 3 races, like under rules. So I do think it's a good initiative. Now, I'm not that taken on the favourite, Go On Chaise. I think Windsor Avenue is the horse to be on. Now, he's got some good form behind his name. I think he won the Sky Bet Chase at Doncaster a few seasons ago when he was with Brian Ellison.
I'm trying to go and find the race now because I had him, but it wasn't last year, it was the year before.
I think a few people, especially Brian Ellison, thought quite a lot of this horse, and then he sort of like his form dipped a wee bit.
Yeah.
And like when you look at his form this season, he finished behind Sign No Mean, that won the Cheltenham Fox Hunters. He ran in a race against It's On The Line at Aintree, albeit he was pulled up in the Fox Hunters. But he finished second behind Gabo Riot, that won at Cheltenham on Friday in the Fox Hunters 4 mile. So, I mean, there is form behind his name. Return to Cameron Water seems to be a good thing for him. He seems to be better on nicer ground. I just think 11-2 for the favourite to be 2-5 and Windsor Avenue to be 11-2. In my opinion, Windsor Avenue's achieved much more in his career than Go On Chaise or Go On Share, whatever you pronounce his name. But no, I really like Windsor Avenue. Like Brian Ellison, when he trained, I've thought a lot of him. It's actually quite interesting that they're putting blinkers on him. That might be a wee bit persuasion for him. But no, I like him. Don. I think it's a good thing for him. He's running in a race where he has the ability to win. And I think he could be quite dangerous running back into this sort of level. So yeah, no, I like him.
What I'm going to say to back you up here, and you might know this better than me, right? But there's a few Hunter's Chases at Kelso throughout the year. It really is. I mean, I remember I used to leave before the Hunter Chase, either when I used to go to the Kelso when the kids were younger, and I was just leaving sharp to come. But when you leave, you can go and stand going round. And I used to stand and watch them just so I was near the car park.
Mm-hmm.
But my memory offhand, right? But from my memory, it's the same as back in the short at Musselburgh, right? It's a short odds-on graveyard. If anybody wants to be rolling in at 1-3, even 2-5, let's say it drifts, right? Then you're off your head. You're absolutely off your head. It's not for me. And if you want to be looking for something with a bit of market value in here, then do you know what, Philly? But you've convinced me on Windsor Avenue. That'll do it for me. Shamrock Street's another one in here that maybe, but it's not 100 chases. It's certainly not at this grade because we don't know which one is actually going to get put in the race, which one's actually going to be trained for this. So I think it would be nuts to go for the odds-on favourite. That's my only advice here. And for your argument there, I hope Windsor Avenue wins.
Yeah, no, I do like him, Don, and obviously, like, he's got the best form in the race, usually based on the trends from Fox Open Hunter races at Kelso. It has been an odds-on shot that wins. But I think going Shays, to be honest, there's just too many twos beside his name. Like,
yeah.
his only win was winning the Hunter Chase debut at Ludlow 2 weeks ago. And I just think, the trainers have had a fantastic start to the season. I mean, the season started was a Monday, and they've had like 3 or 4 winners since Monday over the past 2 days. So it is a yard that's going places. They've got some lovely horses to go to war with, like when the season gets started again in August time. But I just think Windsor Avenue, like, I think the Hunter Chase, like, is a great initiative done for horses that have lost their weight, especially in Windsor Avenue's case where his form dipped quite markedly bad. And then if you
I've no issues with the format. I don't mind the format itself. I just as a betting prospect, it's probably not for me.
Yeah.
But you're right.
But 11-2 for Windsor Avenue. Yeah, I'm over that. I think that's a decent price for a horse of his caliber, where he was winning handicap chases, the feature chase at Doncaster when the race was run. So yeah, I like him.
Do you know what? If I've got a fiver left at the end of the day, you've convinced me, pal. So I'll be rolling in with you as well.
Well, if it finishes last, I'll be ignoring your messages.
that's the 8 races. That's us rattled through 8 races. And sorry, Rach, what were you saying?
I'll be saying that crazy man's messaging me. He's angry about the tip I gave him on.
No, I'll not be angry. Don't you worry about that.
No, fine.
That's not bad. It's 8 races, 47 minutes. We've rattled through them. So what we'll do is, you get a best bet out of all of that. What's your fancy? What would you say is your strongest bet of the day, Rich?
Right. Strongest bet of the day, Don, would be, so I'll do like my nap, my next best, and my long shot. So my nap is going to be, pardon me, sorry, my coughing, is going to be Raceview Road. That's my nap, and that's in the 240 race. My next best is going to be Lily de Burley in the 345, the Mayor's Handicap Hurdle, the Herring Queen Series final. And my long shot is going to be Swords of Fate, 14-1 in a race that's paying like 5 places with like Sky Bet, etc. I just think 14-1 in a race. Obviously, when we discussed before, the favourite deserves to be favourite. He's won the past 2 races. That's a guarantee he's going to be favourite. But like, there's so much more depth for an each way representative in a race of that caliber. Like, yeah, each way. So that's my long shot, Sword of Fate in the 310.
Spot on, Rich. Love it. I'm only going to go for one because I think it sticks out like a sore thumb. And the fact that I'm seeing most of the bookies, well, let's say half the bookies given 4 places. Mine is Linda Moon in the 345. I'm going to be taking an each way bet, 16s. Okay, 12s and 14s, I'm still going to go for it. But the 4 places are Linda Moon in the 345. That's mine. Looking forward to it. I'm off work this week. I'm up to my eyes in DIY, but apart from that, I'm looking forward to stopping and watching the races. So that's the race I'll have the alarm set for tomorrow. And probably the rest of them.
I'll be the same. I'll be sitting at my office tomorrow watching the races as they come on, and I'll be like, trying not to shout if my horse is winning. I mean, like last week I was it was the Latouche Cup at Punchestown, and I thought I'll do my selections before the races, and I put up singing banjo, and I thought there's got to be folk looking at this thinking, what on earth is she talking about? It won 33-1. I couldn't believe it. I was sitting at work, and I'm like to my boss, I'm like, look at this. She's like, I can't believe it. I went, Christ, 33-1. But I just want to give a wee shout out, Don, before we finish. Thursday night at 6:30, my cousin's having his second race. It's He's riding the ever consistent Rockley Point for Katie Scott. Now Rockley Point, he is a 11-year-old. He's so consistent. Jake's having his second ride on him. That's my cousin. He's actually won round Chelmsford before, and he's finished second a couple of times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'll not be heading down because it's down London way, so it's a bit short notice to be heading down to support him. But I just hope he gets round there safe. So if anyone's wanting a wee each way on him, there's 11 runners in the race. Obviously, they'll be paying the first 3, and that's at 6:30 on Thursday evening. If anyone wants to show some support, it's Rockley Point, my cousin.
Absolutely love it. Great horse as well for Katie Scott. And Jake, if you're listening, mate, all the best of luck. Now, before we do this, next week we've got Ayr and Perth and Hamilton. I think we've got 4 Scottish racing days next week. And it's always a busy way. I don't know which day we'll be back, or if Rachel has recovered or got worse. You never know. Hopefully it's recovered. But Rachel and you'll get together and we'll pick a wee catch up next week. Maybe one of the days at Perth might be a plan.
Yeah, because Perth is next week, isn't it? Is it like a 2-day meeting or is it just one day?
It's Thursday, Friday, and I think Hamilton's a Friday. No, I think it's Wednesday, Thursday. I think Hamilton's a Friday.
Is it?
I think so. It's 4 in a row. You've got Ayr one day, then it's 2 days of Perth, and then we've got Hamilton. So we've got a busy week next week. So what I'll say, guys, is keep an eye out on the Twitter, the X page. There'll be selections up every day. Certainly will be for me if Rachel can be asked, then all the better. She's always been a flipper.
Messaging you asking if we're doing selections.
I've been busy, mate. I've been up to my ass. Nah, you're right. I know. You to remind me because I was away for a long weekend. I forgot about it.
Well, I still can't believe how well we done at Perth on one of the days. Like 5
really, really, really good day at Perth. We had a good day last time at Kelso, and we had another good one at Hamilton there. And it's all free as well. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Oh, I know, just banging out winners left, right, and centre, Don. Who could ask for much more?
Well, do you know what? Tough racing tomorrow. I'll take a couple of winners as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'll be watching from work, and I'll be screaming the roof down in my office if Captain Quint wins. Like, I just love the horse. So yeah, I'm going to be fingers crossed for Captain Quint just to get around safely and have a good run, which would put him in a good position when he is trained by Paul Robson next season, or actually this season, I should say. But yeah, Raceview Road, I think's going to be.
I'll be tuning in. I'll be watching 6:30 Thursday night. Chelmsford, Rockley Point, Jake Dixon. All the best, mate.
No, I'll be cheering him on. Oh, it makes me a bit emotional just thinking about it, like my wee cousin having a ride. But he done so well last time. He finished 4th. So yeah, let's hope for 3 places better on Thursday night.
Brilliant. Rich, thoroughly enjoyed it. Good to get back into it again. It's been a few weeks, pal. So thank you very much again for coming along. Thank you, Alex, predominantly for all the comments, and everybody who's tuned in. Have a great week. We'll see you next week and have a good day at Kelso tomorrow, guys. Cheers.
Yep. Take care, everyone. Cheers.